Hi, welcome to the Going 50 podcast. It's your girl Tremeka, and I am so excited on tonight. Guys, y'all know I'm always excited. As a matter of fact, y'all know me. I mean, I come on like this all the time. But the Going 50 podcast is here to bring inspiration to those that are on their way going towards 50. And I'm just overjoyed tonight because I have Dr. Centrell Janot with us tonight, and she is here to give such great wisdom and encouragement. I actually invited you, Dr. Janot, because you already know this in the background that I admire you. You're so inspirational. I've watched the amazing things that you have done and that you are constantly doing. And so before I do a podcast, I'm always praying about like what's going to be the title. I mean, I know that I'm going 50 and, on this journey, I'm trying to inspire people and bring in different people to also inspire. But I'm always praying about like, what's the topic going to be? What's the topic of this going to be? And when I come across somebody like you, you've done so much. You've done so much in ministry. You've done so much in your career and you're constantly doing stuff. It's like, okay, so what is going to be the title of this particular podcast? And so what kind of came to me was growing after 50, because you're constantly growing. And we just kind of had a little banter back and forth on Messenger. And I said that to you, dang, you stay growing, you stay moving and going from level to level to level, not only in your regular ministry, but even in your career. And I'm just so inspired by that. So that's why I invited you. But I want you guys to hear beyond just what I'm saying. I want you to listen to her bio. So I'm going to read that tonight because I need you guys to be very aware of who we have on tonight. So Dr. Centrell Janot is described as a woman of impeccable character who exudes extraordinary confidence and boldness, a woman of integrity who is passionate about the things of God. She accepted the call on her life to preach in 1991. She was ordained in 1997 at Greater St. Stephen Full Gospel Baptist Church in New Orleans under the impeccable leadership of her spiritual parents, Bishop Paul S. Morton and Dr. Deborah B. Morton, where she served for 15 years in various leadership positions, including the church council, chair of the College of Elders, pastoral assistant, and armor bearer. She served as the co-pastor of Changing a Generation Full Gospel Baptist Church in Bootsy, Louisiana, alongside her husband, Pastor Chris Janot, for 17 years. Internationally, Dr. Janot served the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship and Hospitality Protocol and was the first assistant for the College of Ordained Elders. She is a partner of Change Global under the phenomenal leadership of Dr. Darius and Pastor Shamika Daniels. Dr. Janot has over 30 years service as well, right? She has over 30 years of nursing and leadership experience. She has earned a doctor of nursing practice in healthcare systems leadership in 2022, graduating with highest distinction. She is a proud member of the prestigious Nursing Honor Society, a great 100 nurse, certified in electronic fetal monitoring, and a legal nurse consultant. She is a wife of 30 plus years, mother of a Gen Z, her beautiful daughter, Christian. She is a mentor. She is a coach. She is a teacher. She is a preacher. She is an intercessor and worshiper. Dr. Centrell Janot Ministries focuses on building women who love God. That's her focus, building women who love God. And I'm so happy again to have you on tonight. So to get into things, oh my God, again, the amazing things that you've done. How do you stay in a position of always growing? Like what drives you? What is your inspiration to constantly accomplish new things in this stage of life? And take us through your testimony of, it's been inspiring to me from CNA, because I read your stuff. I've been
Mhm.
listening for a long time, right? From
Mhm.
CNA, I think like in high school, to now a
Yeah.
doctor of nursing. And you
Mhm.
didn't do this all at one time. You did it in
Mhm.
stages and phases. And I think
Mhm.
that's so important to hear because so many people either think they need to do it all at once, and maybe that works for somebody, right? Or some
Mhm.
people get to a certain stage in their life and believe that I can't go on, I can't do the rest. So fill us in, give us the
Mhm.
good stuff tonight.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here tonight and to
Yes.
share what the Lord would have me to share with you tonight. So, when I think about what drives me
Mm-hmm.
in pursuing all the things that I have pursued thus far in my life, is just coming up as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at my mother. My mother was a single mother raising three
Mm-hmm.
children.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, she did not have the opportunity to complete high school because she got pregnant. And back in those days, some of the young ladies decided not to continue in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went into the workforce instead and was working multiple jobs trying to take
Mm-hmm.
care of her children, and so, and it's interesting because watching her raise us, and she always provided the best for us. We always had a roof over our head, a clean home. My mom was immaculate, and
Mm-hmm.
always had a cooked meal, always had us dressed. We had new clothes for the first days of school,
Mm-hmm.
holidays. Hair was always done.
Mm-hmm.
So even though she was raising us alone, she did what she needed to do to take care of her children.
Mm-hmm.
And so what got me was that in order for her to do that, she had to work multiple jobs. And it
Mm-hmm.
was jobs like, and she was a seamstress. So she worked in a sewing factory. She worked in hotels and
Wow.
hospitals where she would work in environmental services and housekeeping. She worked in, clubs where she was working as like a barmaid, just
Mm-hmm.
doing whatever she could do to
Whatever
take
she
care of
had to
her
do.
family.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so one of the things I said, I wanted to, number one, complete school because I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
get um, a, a diploma and be a graduate. But I
Mm-hmm.
also wanted to advance my education because I always knew that an education was important in order for you. Of course, there are some people who may not necessarily have the opportunity to finish high school or even college and they do well in life. And
Yeah.
then some people go on to complete degrees and do well also. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one of my greatest inspirations, believe it or not, was my mom, because I wanted to do well in life, but I also did not want to have to struggle as she did
Mm-hmm.
in order to do well. So I think that was my first
Mm-hmm.
motivation.
Which is a
The other thing,
blessing. That's a blessing. Can I put a pin right there?
yeah.
Just since we're having a conversation, that is such a blessing to me because sometimes even as parents, we think that maybe we don't have it all. Maybe we don't have the best to give. Maybe we don't
Mhm.
have like you talked about your mom, she didn't have the education, so maybe she couldn't pour certain things she felt like maybe you needed in a certain type of way.
Mhm.
But man, life constantly and what you do or what you have is a blessing,
Mhm.
and it does give just what you need majority of the time,
Mhm.
right?
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. So true. And it's and I think also, even looking at my mom and the situation that she was in at that time, she
Mm-hmm.
probably would have never thought that her life would have inspired me the way that it did,
Yeah.
for me to have the outcome in life that I had. And it was
Mm-hmm.
based on her inspiration. Even though she
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a college graduate, her
Mm-hmm.
life still inspired me to pursue
Mm-hmm.
more and
I
to
love
do
that.
more,
That's
you know.
powerful.
Um, yeah, and so in the other aspect of it is now my father, now my mom and my dad are together. They've been married now for I think 18 years now. I think they just celebrated.
Wow.
At the time when she was coming up, they wasn't together when they were younger. They didn't get reunite until years later, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so my father is a very intelligent man. He is educated. He has a master's degree in theology, and so I had a good combination. So even though my mom wasn't able to get the education that she desired, my
Mm-hmm.
dad had an opportunity to. And so I think, of course, we have both parents' genes in us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
my mom worked very hard. So I have that from her as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have a problem working, have
Mm-hmm.
always worked. Actually, to be totally honest with you, My very first job, I was in the sixth grade. We were living
Wow.
in yes, in the sixth
Really?
grade, there was a cleaners in the same block of our home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will go there and help check clothes in. You know how when you go drop your
Mm-hmm.
cleaners off
And
and
you
then they
get your
fill out the
ticket?
ticket?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So I would do that. And then I would also press the shirts. So the men's shirt, that was easy to press. And so in
Wow.
sixth grade, I was actually working and making money, so it
Wow.
was instilled in me at a very young age. So I had that drive to work. And then I think also it's how God creates us.
Mm-hmm.
All of us have different aspects of our lives that God intentionally and purposely put in us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know what the Bible says, if you don't work, you don't eat,
You don't
right?
eat. Mm-hmm.
So, right. And then also when he created Adam and Eve, even in the garden, he put man there to till the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
were, I think God put that in all of us. Now,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes some of us, we don't cultivate what God
Mm-hmm.
has put in us for various reasons.
Yeah.
Life hits us and we respond different ways. But I just think it's something on the inside of me. As a matter of fact, I was just having a conversation with someone this week, and even my spiritual mother, she would say, you were so driven. She was like, where do you get that from? Like where does that come from? And
Mm-hmm.
um, and I was just thinking, I said, I'm not sure, but sometimes I feel like, how sometimes we overcompensate in some area,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah,
might be lacking
absolutely.
something
Yeah.
and you're just trying, I can't really put my hands on it,
Yeah, but
but I think,
you're going after that thing.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So, and I don't know if it's because of like what my upbringing was, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
driven, and I'm just overcompensating because I just don't want to re-experience what we experienced. My mom being a
Yeah.
single mom and working hard and
Yeah.
what have you. That could be it. What I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to overcompensate for, just in the back of my mind, still
Yeah.
that thought, you know.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I just always had that desire
Yeah.
to go to school, get an education, have a job, work, and just always had a desire to live a certain lifestyle,
Mm-hmm. I
and be
love,
comfortable.
yeah, I love that. And like I said, to give, man, big ups to your mom. And, talking about a mother who worked and who did what she
Mm-hmm.
needed to do to provide.
Yeah.
I have that testimony and I understand it because I watched my mother work at a coffee plant and get up every morning at 3:30 every morning, Monday to
Wow.
Thursday, and get up and work in a coffee plant. And it was important for her to do that. And she put me in private schools and she paid tuition and she did all those
Mm-hmm.
things because she thought that if she worked hard, and she graduated high school, but she didn't go beyond that. She thought that if
Mm-hmm.
she put in the extra work, then it would make a difference for me. And so, same like
Mm-hmm.
you, I get that. It's the, even though people made some, I mean, some people come from lineages of
Mm-hmm.
college graduates and they can go to Ivy League schools because their parents went, and they're, generational students who can, go through. But for me, I understand that because that was not my story either. I was the first
Mm-hmm.
generation college student in my whole entire family. So
Wow.
yeah, and my
Mm-hmm.
family, and my grandmother had 12 children and they had children, and my mom was the baby. So that
Mm-hmm.
tells the story. It took a long time
Yeah.
for me to get to that point and then graduate from college. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping that this also inspires somebody to understand that maybe you didn't have the example, the living
Mm-hmm.
example with you to do the exact thing, but you still can use what you have to
Right.
drive you to the next place in your life, even now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's never too late for you to get
Right.
out there and get it done. So,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
sixth grade, high
Mm-hmm.
school,
Yeah.
become a CNA, a CNA,
Yeah.
you're still
Yes.
driving and you're still
Y-
going step by step. Like, talk
Yeah.
to us. What made
Yeah.
you never stop step by step?
All right. Yeah. So you had asked about the CNA.
Mm-hmm.
So this, I always talk about this because it changed my life. It literally
Mm-hmm.
changed the trajectory of my life. Now, I mean, this was when I was in middle school. Actually, is when it started. I was ninth grade year. We had a career day. And on this career day, they had all these different professionals that came in and spoke to the student body. And they had these different organizations that came as we prepared to transition to high school. And they had different programs that, whereas you will go to school a half a day, and then you will go to whatever program you were interested in, because they had different programs based upon what the students were interested in. So, of course, one aspect was healthcare. And then some students were interested in, I guess, the business aspect. Like my friend Dion, they they used to have to, like, we wore scrubs and they wore suits. So whatever she did with the other program she was in, it prepared them to pursue a career in business.
Okay.
You know, and so like her master's is in business administration now, you know.
Wow.
So, and it was so awesome to me that when I went to this particular, it was called New Orleans Center for Health Careers. And I went to Clark for a half a day, and then the other half of the day, they would bus us from high school to this program. And we did that the whole 3 years we were in high school. And then once we completed high school, we were certified nursing assistants, which means we were able to go right into the workforce. You know, when we finish high school, you can go to college, and if you needed to work, you also can work, you know, using your certificate that you've completed in high school. And I completed the program, and of course, I went away to school. I didn't really start working as a nursing assistant until I came home. Right, I went away to LSU for like a year and a half, then came home. And continue my education. But there was an interim where I also had to work. So I got a job working as a nursing assistant in a nursing home.
Oh, wow.
And then I transferred to Oxnard and started working as a medical assistant in an OBGYN clinic. So that's where it began there. When I got accepted into nursing school itself, I ended up having to resign from my job because at that time they recommended that we not work, because nursing school was a challenge. You know, you needed to give your full attention to it until we got into clinicals. And then it was our second year, they allow us to become what we call nurse techs. So you go to nursing school and then you work as a tech. You know, you learn your skills and, you know, what have you. So completed Charity School of Nursing. And actually, I was in the inaugural graduating class that became Associate of Science in Nursing, because before, Charity was a diploma program. They didn't offer degrees. And while we were there, Delgado took over, you know, and so then you were able to get a degree once you completed the program. And so for a long time, I worked at the hospital on labor and delivery, and in some other areas as well. And I didn't really have an interest initially to pursue more degrees, because I was really, at that time, I was working as a nurse, but my whole focus was ministry. So I was technically full-time in ministry because I had so many leadership roles, so many responsibilities when we were at Greater St. Stephen, serving in ministry there and under Bishop Martin and Pastor D. And so it was constant, right? My husband and I, we were married. We didn't have any kids at the time. And so all we did was work in church, you know.
And I remember you guys during that time. And I remember your level of work ethic then. So to see the things that you've accomplished in your professional career and mirror them with the things that I saw you do in ministry, they bridge perfectly, because my husband has this thing that we laugh about all the time when I talk about him, is the same way you love God inside the house, the same way you operate at home is the same way you operate outside. I mean, there's no line, there's no difference in it's a character thing, right? Right. It's an integrity, it's a character thing. You are who you are here, you are who you are there.
Right.
And truly, I've been able to be way in the background and watch that part of your life look like that all the time. So, you know, kudos to you in that kind of way. So I can see, you know, the excellence in the way that you handle things. So you are working in ministry, you decide to stop, you're now in the nursing program, you graduate, you're still thinking about growing. Like, what takes you to the next level at this point?
Right. So at this point, I decided that I wanted to advance my education because then I started considering leadership roles professionally,
Okay.
right? So that I'm trained, even though I'm still doing ministry, I have leadership roles in ministry. And so I don't think people realize it goes both ways. So you can, who God created you to be, He gave you everything you need to excel, whether it's spiritually or professionally, right? And so, of course, certain skills you have to cultivate. Some of them you're just born with it, right? Everybody, their genetic makeup is just, some people operate in the spirit of excellence. Some people are just so committed and consistent, right? And so whether you're at church or whether you're in your workforce, like you said, you are who you are, and you're going to bring all of who you are, no matter which role you're carrying out at that moment, right? And so, taking on leadership roles in ministry really also helped prepare me to take on leadership roles in the secular world or the secular environment, right? So, the teaching and the training and the opportunity that we received at Greater St. Stephen under Bishop Morton, who is the epitome of excellence, right? He instilled so much in us. He groomed us. He, some people believe that leaders are born. Some people believe that not every person born is a leader, right? So, however, when you have somebody that invests time in you and pouring into you and mentoring you and coaching you, they're helping you to become this great leader. And they're not only on that local level within the realms of Greater St. Stephen, but then on an international level. So we were honing skills for a long time in ministry, even before I decided to venture out professionally. Because to be honest, even though I never really thought about doing ministry full time, because I not necessarily wanted to work for the church per se. I always knew I wanted to have a profession. I wanted a career. I wanted more. Some people do ministry full time. That's their life. That's just what they do. And that's all they have done. Well, I didn't want just ministry. I wanted, professional as well. And ministry is professional. Don't get me wrong. That's, right.
But I get that you're speaking to the fact that it's okay to have both. It's okay to answer the full call on your life that God is calling you to do, or He's leading you to do that. It's okay to be everything. Like, even when I read your bio, a mom, a wife, a nurse, a minister. I mean, some people, it's okay that you have multiple gifts. Some people will have multiple things that they can do and that they can do well. And it just seems like you answered the call to be multi-talented, multi-gifted, to whom much is given, much is required. You had that, and you accepted that call in all those areas, and you've been able to do it well. So that's another piece that I admire. And I must say that was a first for me, to really witness somebody be really, really, really strong in ministry and go just as hard in their professional career at the same time, and balance both well. I mean, not only were you working in the church, but you and your husband actually had a ministry of your own. Like, I've been following you for a while, but checking stuff out. I'm serious. Like, I remember you being a school nurse. I remember you taking that role on and really loving that, and being in the school and taking time to do that while you were doing church ministry and raising your daughter and loving your husband and posting your meals online and talking about y'all eating and different things like that, and having that balance. And I think that that's the thing that I'm hoping that people get a chance, even now, like definitely in your 50s. And, I'm right there. And people who are listening are in their 40s and things like that. I'm hoping that they understand that it is okay to fully embrace all that God has for you, and being okay with whatever that is. Because for somebody, like you mentioned earlier, that it may be one thing, and that one lane, I mean, ride that one lane that God has given you and do it well. But you truly may be someone who has multiple gifts, multiple callings,
Yeah.
moments that you can embrace, that you can work in a school, you can work in
Mm-hmm.
the neonatal unit, you can do
Yeah.
COVID tests for superstars on
Yeah.
movie sets like you've done. You
Yeah.
didn't have that in your bio, but I remember
Yeah.
that too, right?
Yeah.
You
Right.
can constantly, well,
Yeah.
you know, what I heard is doing is you can continue to grow. You can keep
Yeah.
growing and moving in
Yeah.
those kind of
Yeah.
ways. So I
Yeah.
get that. I know I kind of cut you off when we were
Yeah.
right in that
So
place, but keep talking to that.
yeah, yeah. So with I've always on my job, even as a nurse working in a hospital, I never shied away from learning something new.
Hmm.
Because we always went with the mentality, I want to learn how to do it all. I want to
Mm,
be an asset. I want to be a valuable team player. I want to be that person you can count on and depend on and say, Genoa, do it.
yeah.
You need something done, Genoa, do it. And not only will I do it, I know how to do it.
Mm,
So I want to learn everything that I can learn.
hmm.
I want to gain every skill set that I can gain
Hmm.
because I want to make myself more marketable. I
Hmm.
want to be able to have options. I want to be able to choose what I want to do. I don't
Mm,
want to be boxed in and
hmm.
I just want to make myself available and marketable.
Hmm.
That's the bottom line. If I want to be a bedside nurse and taking care
Hmm.
of patients on the unit, I
Hmm.
have the skill set to do that. If I
Hmm.
want to be in a leadership role, I have
Hmm.
the skill set to do that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whether it's
That's
in
good.
yeah, and that was my whole goal, even as I continue to pursue my degrees. And
Hmm.
when I was working on labor and delivery. At that time, I did not have my bachelor's. Right before I decided to go back to school to get my bachelor's, because I was considering other opportunities. That was like the motivating force.
Hmm.
If I want to make a change, I want to have the credentials, I want to have the experience, I want to have the knowledge to be able to do that job. But before I pursued my bachelor's, that's when I decided to get my legal nurse consulting certificate.
Hmm.
And that was something new that was on the horizon. I didn't really know full scope about it, but when
Hmm.
I got wind of it, I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm taking advantage of this.
Yeah,
And
one
and
more
when we
thing.
one more thing, right? And this is the great thing too that a lot of people don't capitalize on. I worked for an organization that paid for us to go to school.
Mm,
So they pay for you to go to school and you pay them back in time.
hmm.
So if they pay for me to go to school for a semester, then I owe them a semester, I owe them
Hmm.
3 months, 6 months, whatever the case might be.
So what I hear you
You
saying is no opportunity wasted.
no
You wasted no
opportunity wasted.
opportunities.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
if this organization is going to pay for me to go to school, why not take advantage of it, right? So we were, of course, with the charity. I was working for Charity Hospital at the time, and they were affiliated with LSU in Tulane. Well, LSU had a school of nursing, and so I was able to go to LSU School of Nursing, and I was able to get my bachelor's degree, my legal nurse consultant first, my bachelor's degree, and my master's from LSU.
Wow. Wow.
And Katrina ended up hit, and then I ended up going to Oxner and completed my education under Oxner, even though Oxner is not state, but they did have tuition reimbursement. They give you an allotted amount to pay towards your education, and then you can advance your
Yeah.
education as such. So in my mind, I was just thinking, not only the more degrees you earn, the more your salary increases,
Hmm.
right? So they compensate you based upon your credentials. So
Hmm.
you have when you think about this, being a nurse for 30 years, having a doctorate, right? So you have your associate, you have your bachelor's, you have your master's, now you have your doctorate. This is a terminal degree. There's nothing above that for
Yeah.
nurses, right?
Hmm.
So when I applied for a position, I position myself well
Hmm.
because I have the credentials and I
Hmm.
have the years of experience. So
Hmm.
they have to compensate. Um, it's like you have to think about how you want to position yourself,
Yeah. I
right? How
love
do you
that.
want to position yourself?
I
And
love
that's
that.
why you
Mhm.
pursue advanced education, and you keep that experience. Now with nursing and healthcare, that our experience, whether you're working in a hospital, whether we're working at a law firm, whether we're working at a school, an insurance
Mhm.
company, it's all nursing. So all of
Mhm.
those years add up as a nurse. You just have all this variety of experiences, you
Mhm.
know.
So
Yeah.
what would you say to somebody? Because I'm hearing you say, I'm hearing you talk about starting early working, having a drive,
Mm-hmm.
getting inspiration from the things that your mom didn't have, but the things she did do, making yourself
Mm-hmm.
marketable to get the money that you wanted to be able to get,
Mm-hmm.
serving in ministry in a call that you wanted, being open to doing multiple things because it was the call on your life and you pursued all the gifts that you could have, taking advantage of opportunities when they present themselves, such
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
employee based type of things. Now, I'm hearing you say all that, and I know that you're not the only person that's been presented opportunities or, will be presented more opportunities. People get them all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
there are many things that stop people, even themselves, from pursuing those things.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are, it's hard. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I can do it. I haven't had the inspiration. I haven't seen it done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give to somebody in this stage of life that says, I might feel like it's a little bit too late for me?
Mm-hmm.
I heard you say maybe you started a little bit earlier. It's hard because this is what let me put a pin there and say this. I've heard you call out all those things, but I know that that was not an easy road. I know you paid
Mm-hmm.
prices to have
Mm-hmm.
what you have. And whatever
Yeah.
you're walking in now, whatever you're operating in, whatever financial um compensation you receive to make yourself marketable, to get the most that you could get, it came with a cost. It came with you
Yes.
doing something to put skin in
Mm-hmm.
the game to get it.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and doing your doctorate after 50, like, can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit, like I said, to someone who will say, it's hard. I know my job kind of opens up that door of opportunity and they give out classes, but I don't know if I can do it. I don't believe that I can. What do you say to that person?
Well, there was one scripture that I stood on throughout all of my education, and that is, I can do all things through Christ that gives me the strength.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Amen.
so I believe, number one, you have to have a vision for your life,
Mm-hmm.
and when you have a vision for your life, and as you pursue that, you will face obstacles. There will be challenges.
Mm-hmm.
There could be so many excuses we can
Yeah,
we can make,
yeah,
between working, having to work. You don't have an
yeah,
option not to work because you
yeah,
have bills to pay, right?
absolutely.
You have other responsibilities, like you said, as a wife, as a mother. So you have
Yeah.
children, or you have a husband, or what have you. However, once you make that conscious decision, it's
Mm-hmm.
like when you have something on the inside of you that's it pushes you, it
Mm-hmm.
drives you. It's like you want to do it, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not accepting no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make it happen. When you
Mm-hmm.
really want to do something, can't
Mm-hmm.
nothing stop you from doing it.
Absolutely.
There might be some delays.
Mm-hmm.
You might can't do it right at that moment,
Yeah,
but you keep your eye on that goal.
yeah,
You stay focused. That's your target.
yeah.
You have to know within yourself, this is what I want to do, and this is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm going to make it happen some way, somehow. And when I promise you, God knows your heart.
Yeah.
And when you pray and you ask God, God will make a way.
Yes.
God will provide. God will give you what you need. And you mentioned that I actually went back to school for my doctorate at 52. I wanted it long before then. I wanted to go back right after I finished my master's, where I was always in school. My husband said, babe, you've been in school since, and he said, just kind of take a little break right through here, because there was some things that he wanted to do as well.
Yeah.
And so I submitted, but then the opportunity presented itself again years later. And I just said, this is the time. I'm doing it without excuse.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
love
looking
that.
at.
I love that. When there are moments when this is the time, and it doesn't matter if you said 52, that was your time. And that was as a matter of fact, it was the perfect time, right? It was the time that was set aside for you to accomplish what you wanted to be able to accomplish. So it's not too late. It is not that it might be hard, but it's not that hard where you can't accomplish it. I love how the kids say, cause life gonna life anyway. You're gonna go through different things. Like you said, you'll have the obstacles, you'll have the challenges, but you absolutely can get it done, right? So you got into the program. Can you talk a little bit about just what challenges, the real thing that people really want to be able to hear?
Right. So, number one, it was in the midst of COVID, right? But as a healthcare provider, as we're first responders, right? We're essential staff. So life didn't really. I was still going to work. Obviously, I started school, so I was taking classes. The challenges, what people have to think about, is the time commitment. So now this was a doctoral program, right? This was an earned doctorate, and of course, people who receive honorary doctorates, this their life work, so they've earned it as well. However, some people give themselves the titles and they haven't really earned anything, not honorary or book. They just start calling themselves whatever they want to be called, right? And so, but early mornings, late nights, you're not getting much sleep. You have to make the sacrifice. You have to read, you have to write, you have to prepare, there's so much work involved in this, and it's an accelerated program. So in my program, in a lot of the programs now, instead of the courses being throughout a semester, they're in 8 weeks. So what you would normally get done an entire semester, you're getting it done in 8 weeks, right? And so that means more assignments, in a short span of time. They don't cut back. You have a curriculum, you have certain things that have to be covered within that time frame. And so you have to have the mindset that you can do it. Not that you don't get to a point where you feel like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Or feel like you want to quit, because it's a lot, right? However, even with my doctoral program, I remember this so distinctively, because we have to do a capstone project, or we have to do a practice change project, and we have to do it's called we have to write a paper, a huge paper, almost like with the PhD, they do a dissertation, like a thesis, right? Yeah. So and it's so much work. It's so much work, and we write papers throughout the whole program, but this is like a huge one. But I remember there's a Facebook group for this particular program where the students be able to kind of collaborate. And there was a student who posted her paper, and there was no edits to it. So when you do a paper like that, you submit it to your professor, and they just go through it with a fine-tooth comb. They're looking for everything, and you have to keep submitting until it's like perfect. So when this young lady posted that she had no edits, I took a picture of it, and that was my goal. I was like, if she can do it, I can do it too. And that's so when I promise you, girl, that was my motivation. And so it's almost like you have to have something that's going to inspire you and motivate you, a target, something that you can reach for. Not only that, I saw someone had posted, they had a 4.0. It was high distinction. At the time, I didn't know what that was, right? And so my thing is, I always feel like this: if you can do it, I can do it too. God
Yeah.
has no respect of persons.
Yes.
You know what?
Yes.
Whatever it takes, it could be done. And
Yes.
I went through my entire program with a 4.0. The
That's
entire
amazing.
program, every 8 weeks,
That's amazing. That's
now,
amazing.
initially, I did not set out to do that. But
Hmm.
when I saw that someone else did it,
That
that
there was
let
a
me know
possibility.
it was a
Yes.
it was
Yes.
possible.
Yes. And I'm hoping that
And what
somebody hears that you can set out no matter what it is, if it's a nursing degree, if it's a law degree, if it's going back to school, if it's starting a business, whatever it is, if you set a
mm-hmm,
goal, like you said, if you, the word you used was a target, if you
mm-hmm,
look towards a target and put something down and to what you just said and start, um I'm hearing you, it's like you're saying reach higher, look
yes,
up. You don't even
mm-hmm,
have to accept being mediocre. You don't have to just
mm-hmm,
slide through. You can really set your sights on something
mm-hmm,
high and shoot
yes,
for it and accomplish it.
mm, yes, yes. And you know, the other key component is you cannot listen to negative people. You
Mm,
cannot listen to the naysayers. You can't.
mm,
I promise you. Years ago, when I was in nursing school, there were people that I knew that loved me. That was a part of my
mhm.
family. That didn't know any better. That's all I say. They didn't know any
Yeah.
better. Because they didn't know
Mhm.
the process.
Yeah.
You know, they kept at, when are you going to become a nurse? Girl, you've been in school forever. When you going to
Mm,
finish? You know, that
yeah.
could have been very discouraging, right?
Yes.
But I didn't
Or
let
for
it
somebody
discourage
like,
me.
why would you go back? Like at 50, at
Right.
45, like, why would you do something new? Why would you enter or continue? Well, look,
Right.
what you
Yeah.
doing ain't that good enough? Like, why you got to have a
Right.
doctor of nursing? Like, why
Yes.
you got to do the extra, right? But
Yeah.
go
Right. And
ahead.
right. And believe it or not, I got that too because people were saying, why you need a doctorate? Why do you want a doctorate? Like, you
Mm,
know, what it first of all, it's something that I desired,
yeah.
something that I wanted to do. It
Mm,
was my personal ambition, my personal goal, right? And I
mhm.
really don't owe anybody no explanation. It's
That
my
right
life.
there. That's right.
And if I choose to go back to school, it's coming out of my pocket, not
That's
yours.
right. That's
So why
right.
even concern yourself with
That's
it?
right.
You know, and in other words, you should really be trying to encourage me, like
Yeah.
give me a pat on the back, say, "Girl, that's
That's
good."
right.
You
That's right.
inspiring so many other people.
Yeah.
But
But you
you
said
will have
sometimes
people.
people don't know. They
They
sometimes
just
they just
don't
don't know.
right. They just don't know, and so you do. And as a matter of fact, even when I was in my doctoral program, I should say, before I got my doctorate, and even in that group that I mentioned to you,
Mhm.
someone I posted something and one of the young ladies said she commented on one of my posts like as trying to cast doubt, like how do you know what I was like, well, first of all, I know which when I talked was I had posted something about my one of my papers or my grades or something, and I
Mhm.
said the reason why I know is because I've done it this entire time, and then nothing's going to stop me from continuing on that path. And I
Yeah.
also know because I'm investing the time, I'm
Yes.
putting in the work. I'm not
Yes.
slacking with this. I
Yes.
am all
Yes.
in,
So a return has
whatever
to
it
come.
takes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other piece I may add, I have God on my side.
Yes.
I don't do
Yes.
nothing without him.
Yes. Yes.
I'm praying about everything. If
Hmm.
I have to fast about something that I'm
Yes.
pursuing, that I'm doing, I am going on a fast.
Yes.
I am getting a hold of the word of God and I am standing
Yes.
on the promises of God. I am quoting the word of God. I'm
Yes.
confessing, I'm decreeing, I'm declaring,
Yes.
I'm speaking and I'm putting it into the atmosphere. I
Hmm.
am working my
Yes.
faith.
Yes. And that part right there, you're literally saying, you had the biblical TNT, and I call the biblical TNT
Mm-hmm.
faith and works. You know what I'm saying?
That
Like there
part.
is no limit
Mm-hmm.
with faith and you doing what you need to do. You got faith
Mm-hmm.
in God and you putting your own skin in the game. I mean,
That's right.
the things that you can accomplish are endless
Yes,
with
right,
faith
right. Mm-hmm.
and works. The biblical TNT. So
Mm-hmm.
you came through. you took a snapshot of the no edits, you had to hide
Mm-hmm.
distinctions. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you just shot all the way there. So
Yeah.
what was it like
And I
finally?
believe,
Mhm.
and I believe that it could be done because
Yeah,
you have to work your faith. You
yeah,
can, you either gonna believe God or you're not. And not
yeah,
to say that stuff won't come up to make you want to doubt, but you
yeah,
have to shake it. You have to
yeah,
cast it down. You
yeah,
have to come to yourself and say, you know what? You're gonna believe God or you're not.
yeah,
Right? So I'm
absolutely.
sorry, you was about to say what I interrupted you.
No, no, there are no interruptions here. It's because it's just
Mm-hmm.
conversation, which is so
Mm-hmm.
exciting because again, you're encouraging me, but I know that it will be an encouragement to somebody else because faith without works is dead.
Mm-hmm.
You can believe, you can believe, you can want, you can want, you can want, but you do have to do something. You have to
You
put some
have to do
skin in the
something.
game. You have to
Mm-hmm.
decide that either you're worth it or you're not worth it. And
Right.
so again, like I said, this whole podcast is dedicated for people who are in our age ranges, like I said, the 40s,
Mm-hmm.
the 50s, even the 60s, of people who recognize that it's not too late, that they can still
Now.
get it done. They can still get it
Mm-hmm.
done. So I like again, the journey, and I know you could be here for hours talking about
Mm-hmm.
everything, and I know you don't have time for that. But are you taking us through, from the start? Oh my God, sixth grade, the work ethic, and all the way through to the doctorate, and your faith, your grind, your hard work,
Mm-hmm.
your determination, um, going in different stages, doing it the way you
Mm-hmm.
could do it, getting to 52, and then going after your doctorate and walking
Mm-hmm.
into that. I have this
Mm-hmm.
question because I know listen, I know people will be inspired just hearing this, but I have this last question to ask you. Are you still dreaming? At 52, doctorate is finished, you know,
Yeah.
um, the highest of the highest that you can accomplish right
Mm-hmm.
there. Are you still dreaming? What are
Mm-hmm.
your new, like your
Mm-hmm.
current plans?
Yeah, I am definitely still dreaming, girl. As long as there is breath in my body, I will dream.
Yes.
One of my coworkers, she recently said, "Girl, you are a goal crusher." She said, "I've
Yes,
never
I love
seen
it.
somebody who have set goals and you actually accomplish the goals that you set, you know."
Yeah.
And um so I am still dreaming. So
Mm-hmm.
as a matter of fact, it's a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk to you about. And I said I may mention it tonight. So
Yes,
if you remember, I
excited.
said that years ago, I got my legal nurse consulting
Mm-hmm.
certificate. I completed the program. And now during my nursing career, the
Mm-hmm.
various roles that I have been in, I have utilized those skills, in the hospital, working with hospital attorneys and different capacities. So most recently,
Mm-hmm.
I just recently started a new job as a nurse paralegal with a law firm. And
Wow.
girl, this is something that I have been
Wow.
wanting to do for a
Really?
very long time.
Congratulations. That is amazing.
Girl, listen, and it just happened. It just happened. So
Or
I've
you were
always,
prepared for it though. Put a pin right there. But
yes,
come on, like can we just put a baby pin right there? When we
yes,
talk about things just
girl.
happen, and God is so faithful, and He will show favor, and He will open up doors for us and make
Mm-hmm,
ways in the desert and all of that. But oh my God,
mm-hmm,
you're
mm-hmm.
speaking to something that is so powerful. We got to be ready. Like it just
Ready.
happened, but you were already uh you know, a legal nurse consultant. Like you
Yes.
talked about it earlier. You were preparing
Mm-hmm,
yourself to be there. So then it just happens.
mm-hmm.
God now says,
Yes.
okay, you prepared yourself. Now let me open
Mm-hmm,
up another door based upon
mm-hmm.
your
Yes.
preparedness.
Girl, let me tell you, we have to trust the timing of God,
Yes.
right? Because during the course of my personal life, my pursuing my career,
Mm-hmm.
advancing my education, doing ministry, all through those years,
Mm-hmm.
there were intervals where I was trying to get with law firms so that
Mm.
I can, of course, gain more knowledge and experience. Because ultimately, what I want to do, what the path that I'm on now is,
Mm-hmm.
um, work towards two things as it relates to that. Become a, expert witness for
Mm.
nurses. You know how
Okay.
when you have cases that occur and they have expert witnesses that they have to
Mm-hmm.
call to the stand to talk about
Mm-hmm.
the standards and
Yes.
what.
Yes.
So and so I want to sit for the certification, but I have to get so many hours
Mm-hmm.
docked as it relates to functioning as an actual legal nurse consultant or nurse paralegal.
Mm-hmm.
This sets the stage for that. So I'm
Wow.
so excited about what God
That
did in
is
His.
huge.
Girl,
That's
it's very
huge.
huge to me. Yes. So now with my 30 years of nursing experience, completing my doctorate, have my certification in electronic fetal monitoring, I have everything
Mm-hmm.
that I need to pretty much function as that. Now I can really be a nurse expert now, but working in a law firm, I mean, working with the attorneys in a hospital is one aspect and everything I did in a hospital. But this to me is like the icing on the cake, you
Yes.
know,
That's
because it's just,
huge.
I don't know, it's, girl, it is.
That's
Anyway, I'm
huge.
so
I mean, I
excited
can just
about
see
that.
it. I'm thinking about trials and different things that happen,
Hmm.
and they call that expert witness to come up and talk
Yes,
about, can you take us and
yes,
help us to understand AB? So it would be
yes,
that, right?
yes, yes,
That's
yes,
that's
exactly.
amazing. That's
Yes.
amazing.
So I'm so excited about it. And
Always growing.
yeah,
Always
and then
growing.
yeah, and then also what I want to do is be able to I'm not really a business type person,
Hmm.
but as a legal nurse consultant, I actually can start a business as a consultant, and people will
Wow.
hire you out, to do what I'm doing now with this law firm. I can work for them and do it and get compensated, or I can have
Hmm.
my own business and do it
Hmm.
and get compensated as well and get paid even more in that capacity than what I'm getting paid well here, but it
Yeah.
will be even more. And the expert witness is a whole nother level,
Mm.
So so I am still dreaming. And then
Yes.
not only that, I just completed my first ebook.
Really.
Yes, and
Congrats. That's
and on
amazing.
yes, and working on my online course. So I'm going to be
Oh.
rolling out a series of courses and ebooks where I'll be number one focusing on. It's going to be twofold:
Hmm.
ministry
Hmm.
leaders, ministry workers,
Hmm.
ordained elders, ministers,
Hmm.
um, alma bearing, just those
Yes.
things that I have this years of
Hmm.
experience in, and now I can
Yes.
take that information and train others. Even though you can get that, some of that obviously in your own ministry among your own leadership,
Yeah.
but this is something totally different.
Yeah. Because
But then I
you have
also,
expertise in that. Great expertise in that area.
yes, and then also from my professional side, right?
Hmm.
So aspiring nurses, how to advance your education, helping people become certified, if they want to pursue higher education, just different things, just being
Hmm.
that coach, that mentor, that
Hmm.
resource, and just making information available, to those who
That's
might be interested.
amazing.
I'm working on now. I want to revamp and relaunch like all my social medias, more specifically my YouTube page,
Hmm.
channel, I should say. And so,
Yeah.
but so
And
yeah,
that's
so
huge. That's
yeah,
huge. That's huge. Still
yes,
dreaming,
yes,
still
yes,
developing, still growing,
yes,
ever learning, teachable,
yes,
and then taking
hmm,
everything that you have, and then I see you still pouring it back into somebody else,
right,
still being an
yes,
inspiration at the end of the day to somebody else. So, oh my God, that is so amazing. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that you dropped that here at the Going 50 podcast.
yes,
Congrats. So
yes,
lastly, Dr. Janelle, with everything that you have learned over time and the great amount of wisdom that you have,
hmm,
um, with ministry, with your professional career,
hmm,
your drive, um,
hmm,
the never ending thing that's on the inside that gives you the push to keep growing and keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say lastly to somebody listening to this podcast? I know y'all have to be encouraged from everything, but like your last words, like what would you say to somebody who is in this stage of life that wants to continue? And maybe they already have some things going on, but maybe they're sitting by just saying, I wanted that, but I don't know if I can. What would you say to that person to encourage them?
Um, well, one of the first things that I would say to them is to stay encouraged, to stay motivated, to to find you a tribe of people that can motivate you, right? That's going to spark some fire in you. And sometimes that means finding the right coach or the right mentor that already has a tribe, right? That you can become a part of. And right now I'm a part of, like you mentioned in the bio, Dr. Darius Daniels and Pastor Tremeka Daniels. They have a mentoring and coaching group.
Okay.
They have so much that they do, but phenomenal leadership, but also phenomenal people that's within the group. And when I became a part of this, we call it a tribe, but it's called Daniel's Den. I felt like I found my people in a sense that they're driven, they motivating, they inspiring, they will push you to destiny. You know, push you into purpose. That it's almost like sometimes you need that fire lit under you because you have it in you. You know what you want to do. You have these goals, you have these dreams, you have this desire. But sometimes you need to be among the people who are on the same wavelength, who are on the same, same trajectory, that not going to pull you back, but push you forward, right?
Absolutely.
So I would say, I want to encourage anyone who's out there listening to this podcast, stay driven, stay focused, never give up, never quit, never even consider throwing in the towel. You have to have a vision for your life. You have to have a plan to execute that vision. And you have to do what needs to be done to bring it to fruition.
Yes.
You know?
I love it. I love it. That was amazing. Y'all heard it here on the Going 50 podcast, honey. Dr. Janot said, get you a tribe, get you a fire tribe that will push you and not pull you back, that will encourage you to keep going. And I love that because that's great practical advice, Dr. Janot. And good I love to call it, that's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 advice. That is, don't give up, do this, but you have to also do that. But you really need to do this that'll take you to that next level. So guys, listen, get a mentor, get a coach. I'm going to have all of Dr. Janot's information loaded. If you listen and you feel like she can help you in some type of way with ministry and the things that she's putting together, you definitely want to get in on that. This is your girl, Tremeka, again, with the Going 50 podcast. Follow us on all social media. We are so grateful that you got on today. We pray that you were inspired. Peace.